right, call this regular council meeting to order. And the first item of business is the adoption of the agenda. Councillor Smith, Councillor Doherty, all those in favor. And we have 3 sets of minutes this evening. Special meeting minutes of October 22nd. Motion to adopt. Councillor Smith, Councillor Doherty, all those in favor. The regular meeting minutes of October 22nd. Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Councillor Frog, Councillor Wyers. Get it on record. All those in favor? Carried. And the primary committee meeting minutes. Motion to adopt and all the recommendations contained herein. Councillor Doherty, Councillor Smith, all those in favor. We have no delegations or petitions. And we are down to member of council reports, starting with Councillor Doherty.
Your Worship, I don't have any reports tonight.
Making her go fast. Councillor Wyers.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll start off with the Boundary Dog Sled Society. We held a fowl supper on October the 20th, and I just wanted to report that the funds raised at that event were $1,877. Now, I also want to report that the January 13th race will not take place. This is due to currently a shortage of volunteers and the need to do more fundraising, with sponsors funding becoming less accessible in the community, with more and more demand out there. And also the need to redesign the event to make it more spectator friendly. So the event will return in January 2014, and it's the committee's intent to bring a new face to the Boundary Dog Sled races for Grand Forks. On October 23rd, I attended the 20th anniversary of Community Futures Boundary, the 20th anniversary in our community, in conjunction with their Small Business Week celebration and award ceremony. The Entrepreneur Award was a tie this year, with Mona Matai from Boundary Sentinel receiving the distinction, and along with Joga Espresso Cafe, the owners Roger and Donna Spitzkoff. Business of the Year Award went to Robert Yem and Deborah Lazen, who have Y&R Water Sales and Services. So it was refreshing to see a full house at the curling rink for this celebration. And of course, a number of my fellow council and mayor were in attendance. On October 29th, the staff and management, along with City Council, attended a farewell luncheon for retiring CAO Lynn Birch. Lynn's 25 years with the City of Grand Forks will certainly remain memorable to many of us, and we wish Lynn all the best in her retirement plans. And I'm sure we're going to see her around the community in other capacities in the future, as well as enjoying her grandchildren that she wanted so much. On November the 1st, the Library Board of the Library Board of Trustees met to review options. There was a special meeting to review options to fill the vacated chair's position. Martin DeMay, who is an existing board member right now, will assume the role as interim chair until the March 2013 AGM elections for the library, for the Grand Forks and District Library. Later that afternoon, the board met with their funding stakeholders at the Regional District Office in preparation for operations in 2013. So I want to thank Your Worship for arranging that opportunity for the board to meet with their stakeholders with short notice, and they appreciated the efforts that we made to accommodate the opportunity for the two to get together.
Great.
So thank you. On November the 1st, I attended the Regional District monthly meeting here in Grand Forks, just as an observer, and it was refreshing to hear that our airport is still on their radar. So I'm certainly, Your Worship, would like to add to that with your report this evening. The other items I have, I just returned from meetings from the past weekend for AKBLG Executive, of which I am representing Executive Director for Boundary Country. The meetings were held in Creston. Friday evening, I do sit on the Rural Collaboration Committee, and we met with CBT personnel Gary Ockenden and Sabrina Curtis. So there's some interesting opportunities coming forward. Of course, it is the review process is also in the works with the Columbia River Treaty. The overall, the AKBLG has been asked to take a delivery position in coming forward with some ideas from the region collaboratively, where we can use some joint services or opportunities that we can all share in, as long as we can find rural peace out there. That's probably our biggest challenge. So more updates in the future for there. November the 5th, the volunteers today met from the Grand Forks Environment Committee, and they conducted their first mobile nephelometer data collection with the volunteers from the committee, and they were driving through the valley. The air quality report today was pretty good, but there were some very interesting differences. We all met on October 23rd to review training materials left by our summer student, Jordan Andrews, which it's very technical and very extensive in this data collection. So what happens is the data is actually transferred through an onboard GPS to a laptop, and then it's uploaded to a Dropbox, where we will have two volunteers, Peter Shilton from Roxall and Jennifer Wetmore from Southford College, who have agreed to break down this information, to bringing it back to the committee and have it available for analyzing where our air quality issues are in the community throughout the winter and the spring. And this will be conducted. They're going to be doing their first night data collection on November the 8th, so it'll be day and night. So there'll be opportunities to monitor the community for wood smoke and other air particulates that are 2.5. So they're looking forward to successfully working this. As I said, they're all volunteers, so we're working at it diligently to get some consistent data to bring forward. So there's a couple of items though that I've been asked. I've been approached on the street. First by the 2nd Street, a couple of the 2nd Street merchants wanted to know what the status is of our bike racks after the 2011 presentation that was made to City Council, and there were staff recommendations that followed. So I just wanted to bring that through you, Your Worship, to our CAO. We'd like to have an update on where we stand with bike racks, or is it going to be
Well,
the
when last we
2013
left
budget?
that topic, I think we had asked to see what we had in stock already, that we were going to look at what might be available. I'm not sure where it went, but
Yeah.
we could ask for an update on this bike rack situation. This goes back to recommendations to put bike racks on various corners and locations in the downtown area to further encourage bike use in the downtown core.
In addition to the Unifab ones that we have up there.
Right, in addition to the ones that we already have.
And there's a feeling that there might be some more Unifab ones up at City Works. But I just wanted to bring it to the attention of staff and management.
And you have, very good.
That they're asking.
Yeah.
And the other item that was brought to my attention was there's still no non-potable water for the dog park, and they wanted to know the status.
It's been installed for the last month.
It has been installed for the last month.
Potable water.
Oh, potable. Okay, I'll let them know. Is there a tap there or what?
Yes, Council, there's been a hydrant installed, frost-free hydrant, and it's been in use for the last month.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
I guess that means somebody has to visit the dog park.
I think somebody hasn't been there.
Yeah.
And that's my report, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, Councilor. Councilor Kendel.
Thank you, Your Worship. On October 30th, I attended the Economic Development Advisory Committee meeting. The group is getting along very well. We're working on several initiatives. We're planning a strategic planning strategy meeting at our next economic development meeting. We're all looking forward to that. I'd like to tell council that the branding project that the city is involved in is going well. Story and Company spent 2 full days in the city, meeting with individuals and groups, and to garner input on the branding strategy. And that they're now in the process of compiling that information along with all of the surveys that are being filled out online and in the paper form and dropped off at City Hall here. And we'll be closing that process off in mid-November, so we're encouraging everyone to participate in either the online or paper surveys. And we're looking forward to a report from Story and Company in the 3rd week in November to give us an update on how things are going. I also, on November 2nd, attended the retirement evening portion of our former CAO, Lynn Birch, and it was a packed house. So obviously her work with the city was well received by a large number of people in the city. It was great to see. And lastly, I have a new little addition to my upper lip. I've joined the Movember group, which is it's a movement that's worldwide to raise money for prostate cancer research. And I've joined a team at PharmaSave, so if I'd like to encourage people from the city and council to go onto the Movember website, and if they would like to support through donations to the team, and there'll be a judging contest at the end of the month, so hopefully I'll do the city proud. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you very much. Councillor?
I don't have a report at this time.
No. Councillor Cron? Councillor Smith?
Thank you, Your Worship. On the 24th, I attended the merchants meeting over at Community Futures office. The first one we had 2 weeks previous had probably 7 people sitting there, and this one came up to 15, and we actually had some of the prominent property owners as well in attendance. And we sat around and talked about, you know, what downtown business and property owners would like to see in terms of revitalization and possibly putting together a business improvement association, and talked about the potential for having an events coordinator. So these were some of the topics that came up, and a little bit of work is going to be done from a few members of that group to solicit other business owners and property owners in the identified downtown core to see if they're interested in putting together a BIA. And we'll be meeting again in a couple of weeks to just move the process along. But it looks like there's a real feel from this group that they really want to see something done, and they want to be part of it. Like, it's not just, you know, council, what are you going to do about it? It's, let's try and make some change happen for ourselves, working with the support of the city. So again, that's something we'll take up through the Economic Development Advisory Committee, and then make further reports to council.
That's certainly promising interest there.
Yeah. And then, of course, I was at the EDAC, as Councillor Kendel mentioned. And then on November 2nd, I met with a couple of folks who were involved in the organizing of the first annual fly-in, and we're talking about what improvements we might make the next year's fly-in even better. So again, that might be something we'll take up through EDAC and see what we can do to support them. That's my report.
Thank you. I have a couple of items to cover from the city standpoint. First is a contact I had just the other day at Lynn's going away ceremony with Dawn from the Phoenix Ski Hill. So last year we didn't give him any money at all for the Phoenix Ski Hill, right? We basically lapsed it with the understanding we were attempting to work out a better relationship with the regional district and the grant and aid stuff. So Don's come forward now, and he's going to submit a letter to this issue. So he's asking us to consider helping him put a motor in a tractor he got for free, that he can mow the hill and reduce the amount of grass sticking up. So, but the interesting thing here is that it's there. He's got support already from 2 of the other 3 rural directors. So he's got Irene and Bill on board for a portion of it already, and so we're reaching a point here where this is what we wanted last year. So I think we need to sit down and consider these kinds of alliances and whether or not it's part of a social plan that we've got, or whether we're just getting on board because they're offering to share the cost. So it seems a little haphazard to approach it that way, and but it is interesting that Dawn is coming forward with a formal request to share costs with the other 2 rural areas. The other item is the Recreation Commission, and I guess this again will incorporate regional district interests, but there's a number of things on the regional district agenda coming up for a meeting on Thursday. One of them, or a number of them, have to do with a referendum on the in 13 on whether or not we look at the ceilings and various other expenses on programs there. So stay tuned on that. I know we're at really at the height of what we can do there without reducing service, and I know we're trying to keep our own expenses under control here in the city, and they're facing the increasing cost of power and various other things that they haven't been able to really control to any great extent, and we're reaching the limit of our allocations of funding to those things. So those we'll be dealing with in the coming months as we go into budget, but I'll keep you up to date on what happens at that commission meeting, because that's where Area D is part of the planning with us at that table. The final thing is the Rebecca Zambergen is here tomorrow, and Bill Baird and I have an interview together. I don't know why they paired us together on this, but we're being asked to talk about our relationship with the regional district and various other things that are going on. So that should be interesting. We'll be pumping the highlights of our community and the benefits of living here. That's going to be at Gallery 2 tomorrow, starting at about 4 o'clock, running to about 5:30, if anyone's interested. And that's about it. I'll pass on the regional district report this evening and ask for a motion to accept the reports from council. Councilor Doherty, Councilor Smith, all those in favor? No regional report. I will answer any questions if anyone has a regional question, but Councilor Wyers was at the meeting, and yes, in fact, we did bring up the airport issue, and we're told that there were discussions occurring, and so I'm hearing that we're addressing that issue with the regional administration. Any other electoral issues? Any questions?
Just a little further information on the airport thing. Can you speak a little bit more on that?
Well, all right. For 4 years now, we've been pretty formally, I thought, sitting down at bargaining tables with the regional district and saying this is a regional service, that the helicopter is limited in its scope to come and go in different weather and can't fly at night. Fixed wing is a lifesaver in this community, not just for Grand Forks, but for the whole region. In fact, we cover all the bills of it. We clean the airport strip, we run all the expenses on it, and including now a major upgrade to the lighting system to keep it in good shape so that you can have night lighting. So what we're asking for is not a regional service. I believe what we're going to be asking here is a shared cost arrangement for that airport. We need to take some of the burden off the local Grand Forks taxpayer and share it with the regional folks around us who are also critically benefiting from having that method of getting out of this town in whatever weather. So that's the detail.
Well, thank you for expounding on that.
Welcome. Okay, did we vote? No, all those in favor? We vote twice? Never hurts. The next item are recommendations from staff. And the first one is to erect a sign at Bon Mark's Corner. You can see the picture of it that you got. It's been through a process with our planning department that has basically recommended the design that we're seeing there. And so I would have a motion to concur with the recommendations. Councillor Doherty, Councillor Smith. Discussion?
Looks good.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Next item is, in fact, another sign.
Yep.
Just a minute here, I just went down. This is a sign for the Donaldson location of the station pub. And again, the same situation, they've submitted it, it's been reviewed, and we are receiving a recommendation of it. So, Councillor Doherty, Councillor Wyers. Further discussion? All those in favor? Carried.
Now, is that going to be the real price for a burger and beer?
Yeah, false advertising. The next item of business is the Manager of Technical Services report on the Silver Kettle Development, Inc. Latecomer Agreement. Do you understand what we're talking about here? These guys pay money up front to get services in there, but then they're able to cost that back to other developers that might come in at a later date.
Yep.
And so we have a recommendation that we accept this agreement from our staff. Councillor Smith, Councillor Doherty. Discussion. All those in favor? And we are on to information items. Summary of information items A to F. Just give me a second to bring that up in my usual efficient manner. Okay. This is not it. Somebody give me the number. Oh, here we go. 64. Bingo. Correspondence from the Boundary Museum Society. We'll start this off with a motion then to accept as we recommend. Councillor Smith, Councillor Doherty. Correspondence from the Boundary Museum Society requesting consideration of a $70,000 funding in 2013, and they would like to make this a line item rather than every time we decide to make it more of a commitment. And the recommendation here is that this be referred to the budget process and for the 2013-17 budget year. Councillor Doherty. Councillor Crogg seconds it.
Do
you want to?
So we're just
referring it.
Inside a motion.
Well,
Budget.
this is a pretty formal, so I think we're of a mind that it might require a direct motion. And we've done that before, so we have the overall motion, and then if we think something needs to be more formalized.
I thought your overall motion was to concur with the recommendations,
Yes.
which would see it.
You don't see it requiring a special motion? No, okay, let's
Just
go on.
I don't think it's not, if we agree to concur with the recommendations,
I'm
if
good
we
for that.
don't, then at the end, we can.
Okay, so here's one for money, the next one. This is the Gazette Christmas shopping local campaign. We've done 700 in the past, and I believe that our request this year is reduced because of the involvement of another sponsor. So they're looking for 500, and if that's okay,
Yep.
because the accountant probably wants a separate motion. Councillor Wyers, Councillor O'Doherty, all those in favor?
Another motion aside.
In the motion, inside a motion. I know, it's not a very smooth process, Councillor.
Yeah.
But the first one, we didn't waste our time on, did we? Correspondence from Dave Milton. Council to receive the correspondence for discussion, and as I have stated informally, I think that we should look at this and try and find ways of rewarding people like Dave who are really serious about their commitment to the environment. At the same time, it's a daunting task to think of some way of doing it while allowing people to opt out and to be able to run the whole system. So we know the challenge here, and I promise to get back to you with a response from the regional coordinator of this into whether or not there are other minutia that we could enact here, or ways of implementing it that might be more responsive to the very person like Dave, who's extremely diligent recycler. So, Councillor Smith.
I'm just concerned, of course, that other people who, if that allowance was made in this case, that it opens the door for opportunists to say, yes, I'm like Dave and I want to be on that program too, but how do you monitor it? And
Well, and how do you discuss it if you don't open that door? But at this point in time, it would have to be a general policy. It couldn't be a Save Dave kind of only for Dave rule. No, it has to be something that was generic enough that would imply, have impact on the whole program. Councillor Kendel.
I just have a comment. I had a conversation with Tim Dewick, the regional representative for this program, and if my information from him is correct, and I'm sure it is, that the added cost, yearly cost to the garbage collection was basically $10 and some cents from what it was before the program was introduced.
a year?
A year. So I guess based on that information, unless there's some drastic change in how things are done, if that is the actual cost difference, then I guess I'm a little bit apprehensive to make any changes to the system. Again, if we're talking $1 a month or less, and people's habits have remained the same, then
So this is a bit of a Hail Mary approach, really, because I don't know of any way out there that we're going to satisfy it, but I think we should at least take the suggestion that we look at other ways of doing it seriously. Councillor Crocker.
Yeah, this has been discussed over the years, and it's the concept of the pay per use, and the less you produce, the less you have to pay. So right now, everybody's paying the same, right? We have a new system which is supposed to draw a lot of that waste out of that stream.
Yeah.
So we will see a lot more people with less garbage going out, but if we could somehow combine it's a flat rate plus a per bag rate that you put out. So on the actual garbage day, if Dave doesn't put out any, then
So there'd be like your
system
gas delivery system, right? You have a base gas rate,
yeah,
and then you pay
your
over
pay
and
per
above
use.
that.
If I put out 3, then it would have to go through similar to our tag
Yeah.
bag system.
So I don't want to raise any false hopes here that people are going to be opting out on this, but at the same point, I'd like to know more about the fine tuning of this type of a system, and it is going on throughout the province, so we can borrow what other people may be doing as well. Anyway, I'll look at that and bring back any ideas before we throw any Hail Marys out there. Okay, that's Dave Milton. And the email from the coordinator of the Santa Claus Parade. The council is to advise if they wish to participate, and the deadline is December the 2nd. Any thoughts?
Let's get in it.
What are we going to do, though?
We have kind of make a float.
We could be reindeer.
We could be reindeer. We don't, that doesn't give our staff much time to do very much either. That's the biggest thing. We don't want to start dumping something on them here at this point.
Well, I think registration is December 2nd, but the actual participation isn't until for 2 months. Is that correct? Or close to that?
The parade's
December
December
7th.
7th,
Oh, is
5
it?
days later.
Oh,
Yep.
sorry, I didn't know what day.
Christmas is the 25th.
Yeah.
Usually.
I don't know where 2 months was going.
No, well, it's just if it's now November 5th, and I thought we
Oh.
had a month and a half until the parade, but if it's
No, it's
December 7th, then.
Okay, so I see some interest but no focus.
Oh, I
Councillor
think we should
Wyers.
put a float in.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, I have a couple of elf suits.
Okay, all right.
The City Works, they have a
I
flat
see a lot
deck
of
and
talking going on back there. Could I ask for a comment on this?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If council wishes to make that request to staff to develop a float for decoration, we can make that arrangement. Whether it's a trailer, it will be hooked up to a vehicle, one of our municipal, something from our fleet. We can make that arrangement if council wishes.
All right.
and the theme is Christmas around the world.
All right, well, we have another, yes, Councillor Crowe?
I'll dress as a reindeer or a pig, because I've got a pig outfit.
Okay,
Or
well,
a
if you have a
chicken.
manger theme, we've got a
But
big
I'm
one.
not doing the elf thing.
Okay. Councillor Smith,
I would like to move that we ask staff to put together a float for us.
and the seconder for that motion, Councillor Wyers.
For minimum cost.
Is this a committee activity? Are we?
I'd be involved in that. I'd be
Yeah.
happy to do that.
All right, and do we have another volunteer? Councillor Wyers and Councillor Smith. That's your subcommittee. All those in favor? Carried. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. I think that is a sign of a community spirit, and hopefully it'll be something we can use from year to year. Okay. Moving on down. Press release from AKBLG asking that government replace the ad hoc funding with long-term revenue sharing. That was the work you did on that workshop, and hopefully this will go to UBCM, I'm assuming, and passed on as a complete, or do you have to wait till the AKBLG conference? Councillor Wyers, that's a question.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Well, this was a result of the For Richer for Poorer workshop that
Yeah.
I reported on at our last council meeting. And primarily, we are supporting the Mayor's Caucus, the 3-day
Yeah,
caucus.
same issue.
I'm sure it's, as we've all will be discussing in budget discussions coming up, where our taxpayers really understand, do they really understand how much we actually see in local government from taxation, the taxation vehicle? And that amount only represents 8%
Of the buying.
of the pie. 50% of the pie goes to the federal government, 42% goes to the provincial government. So there has to be and there needs to be some tax reform in our province, in our country. And this is the motivation with the Mayor's Caucus that happened in May. You were under the same direction. You came up with the same results with the downloading.
Yeah.
So infrastructure being a critical priority in many, many communities, not just in British Columbia, but across this country. Yes, so you'll be hearing more, and this is the press release that we sent out October 22nd to all the media, and there will be upcoming workshops and opportunities for local government to participate and have their voice heard with UBCM as well as at the AKBLG AGM in April.
Great. Councillor Smith.
And an important point in tandem with Councillor Wyers' remarks, is that while the provincial and federal governments can run deficits in lean years, municipal governments are, by statute law, required to have a balanced budget. So if we don't have it, we can't pay for it. So
I hope they're listening to you.
Yep.
18 million people.
And the October 22nd task list, completed and in progress. Any comments on that? File. And as recommended, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Back to the agenda. So, questions from the public? Nigel.
Ladies first. Sorry, Your Worship, ladies first.
It's interesting, this discussion at the regional table was that they were not really happy with opening up the floor to the general public at the end of their meetings. Do you recall that?
Yeah, I recall the discussion.
It was interesting. They felt threatened, I think, and we don't. We love people coming forward and talking to us. Yes, Mom.
Hi, Mona Matei, wearing my hat as the Phoenix Foundation Executive Director this evening. Just a reminder to everyone watching and to council and all the staff that you're all welcome to attend the Phoenix Foundation of the Boundary Community's 15th anniversary this Thursday evening, November 8th at 6:30 at the Art Gallery. We have a wonderful speaker coming from the Hope Foundation in Alberta, Wendy Eady, and one of our board members has heard her speak and said she's very dynamic. And she talks about hope. And we feel that the Phoenix Foundation, in our way, give hope to our community organizations by providing funding where they probably wouldn't get funding otherwise because they have to compete at such a high level in the provincial and federal funding grants, that our little portion that we're able to share with our community is very needed. And we give hope at that level, so we'd like to have the Hope Lady share her way of finding hope for individuals and how you can carry that in your own life. So please join us, and that's it. Thank you.
And further.
Good evening, Your Worship and councillors. My name is Nigel James. I've added a couple of things to my list, actually, because of the discussion, which is, I'm afraid, your hard luck. Regarding one of the things you mentioned, Your Worship, about the RDKB and not enjoying having people at the end of the meeting making comments, perhaps we should point out that Mayor Taylor stated that City Council is interested in hearing from the public on the issues and is dealing with on any other issues, da-da-da-da. And there it is, published in black and white. And I think it's a shame that there are not more people here to express their views, etc., and the good things and the bad things that happen in the city. My first point, actually, is I'd like to commend part of the Public Works for they're loading up the bonfire on the 31st,
Amazing
and the Rotary Club, and for the fireworks it was quite excellent. It also helped that the weather was very reasonable indeed. I noted that his worship was there. I can't remember seeing other councillors, but that's...
It could have been in costume and they might not have recognized them.
I thought that was their normal dress, perhaps. Anyway, something that just crossed my mind regarding the float, etc. And it sort of concerns the branding that we're doing right now, or trying to. Why not train a deer team, white-tailed deer team, to pull the Public Works trailer? it might just raise lots of comments actually. But, whether that we've got a deer whisperer around in the city, I'd rather think that doesn't occur.
You're a bit skittish, but I'm sure we could dress up a couple councillors.
I'll do it.
My third point is rather more serious, I'm afraid. It concerns the agreement, the motion that was carried about Councillor Bashagin receiving city money to take two training courses. I'm going to make various observations and probably a few rhetorical questions. And I also encourage, as the council did, people improving their status and that sort of thing and their knowledge, and it is to be commended. I haven't had chance to find out if the city has got a policy on the subject of funding for further education or additional education. If it hasn't, perhaps that's something that might be thought about. But in fact, if whatever the education is going to do is if it's gratefully for the benefit of the city overall, or if it's a mandatory or prerequisite for an appointment within the city, then obviously those items should be funded by the city. If they're not, if it's a prerequisite, they don't get the job before they've arrived. But I have also taken upgrading courses in various things. One thing was really, I enjoyed it very much, three-dimensional calculus integration. I mean, most people drop dead at that thought, but I found it quite interesting, especially as the professor was most keen on Dolly Parton and working out sort of various shapes and sizes there, but that's another matter. Surprising what you can do with integration and calculus.
Nigel, back to the other issue. We are working on developing a better policy.
Good. I'm very pleased to hear it, because now the precedent may have been set. And now I've never looked at the collective agreement between city staff and the council and the city management. But you could have opened a very big door for everybody to come forward to say, I would like to do some other courses to improve myself. And it's that is, I would have thought, a serious or potentially a serious policy. It sets a precedent, and that is, I think, a big problem.
Well, and enough said on that, because you're right. Some of the things you said are very germane to having a good policy, and we are currently reviewing it.
Another one regarding branding, actually, you mentioned the ski hill, Phoenix Ski Hill. There's also, of course, the Phoenix Cross Country Ski organisation as well, which you could be, which could be
separate non-profit from the ski hill.
Yeah. The other points are really rather less important. As for the green boxes, the other items of utilities are user pay. Electricity, gas, water, no doubt in the future. Why not also garbage?
Garbage meters are hard to work with.
However, tag a bag is not difficult.
No,
you
it
buy them
isn't.
at City Hall here. Was it six for $15 or whatever it is, and then the tag can go on to green bin, whatever, all those things, and there it's a definite user pay situation. No tag, it's left on your driveway.
Yeah, and be present then for my report back to council on the possibility that there may be some options that we could look at that might make this work better. I'm prepared to challenge the coordinator of the program with telling us whether or not there are any things that we can do here to make it work better.
Certainly I appreciated the adverts in the paper, the congratulating Grand Forks after the first sort of couple of weeks of it, a couple of two set cycles of it going, and saying, hey, 10 tons went into the green bins rather than into landfill.
That is a reinforcement, I'm sure, to people who read that and recognize that their participation is really creating a situation where we'll have many, many more years in that landfill before
Correct.
we're needing to develop a new one. So yes, those are things that have been really well done by the coordinators. And really, in the big picture, the number of complaints we've had compared to the number of people that have been included in it is quite small. Not that the individual complaint should be neglected, but it is a pretty decent response from the community.
Yes, however, Mr. Dave Milton, I mean, he has a most valid point, I believe. And most probably a lot of other people who haven't opened their mouths, who don't, for instance, I only put out garbage and green bin every other week. So 1 week, nothing's there to collect up. Thank you
Keeping
very
an
much.
open mind. Thank you, Nigel.
Thank you.
Anything further from the floor? Good evening, Les.
Evening. Sorry, I wasn't really paying that close attention. The regional district RDKB meeting, we were talking about, they really don't seem to like the idea of having a question period at the end. Is that what it is?
No, they felt that there were very seldom people come to their meetings to start with, and when they did have people attend the meetings, it was usually because they're disgruntled about a particular topic and should have booked a delegation position rather than coming to the meeting at the end of the meeting and wanting to speak. So a different kind of situation than what we face here, I think.
No, what I took away from it was there was more discussion about, do we make it an actual item on the agenda?
Within
at
the
end?
meeting
Within
or
the meeting,
outside of it?
outside of the meeting, where the chair stated that if there's public there, they will ask that public that are present at the end
Right.
if they have any comments to make. So it was just primarily seen it in black and white on the agenda, if
Okay.
that was necessary.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
was
that
wondering-
was also one of the...
Just wondering how that works,
Yeah.
because it is a public meeting. And I was
Yes, it is. And
wondering
we
if there was
encourage
any-
people here when we meet in Grand
what they would
Forks.
think if I walked in with all my equipment and said, I want to broadcast this.
Can you stream the regional district meeting in the same way you do this from their chambers in...
As long as my cell phone can see the tower, yeah. I'm doing it right now.
Yeah.
But, okay. When we were driving back from Kelowna today, just on the side, you were talking about education and funding it and stuff like that. BBC had a piece, apparently the University of Princeton has an endowment fund of $17 billion. These are the people who self-identify as the 1%ers, but the school actually has a war chest of $17 billion, and a lot of the people who graduate from there actually don't have any bills at the end because the school takes care of it and they all give it back. It's a bit more than some small countries, actually.
Sounds like a cult.
Something you do with skulls, maybe?
Yeah, that was it.
Oh, that's
From the
Yale, I
record.
believe.
That was it. You had one viewer again. I don't know. Maybe I got to promote it a bit.
All right.
The
Thank you.
FBI, I think, just tuned in.
Okay, and that seems to be it for this evening. A motion to adjourn. Councilor Adams.